Hello and warm welcome to another exciting episode of Mastering Backend Development right here on WhaTheCoding. Today's coding adventure is all about HTML, the foundational language of web. I have segmented this coding adventure into 4 different phases, namely the discovery phase, the progression phase, the skill boost phase, and the final mastery phase to make it an enriching experience.
By the end of this series, you'll confidently navigate HTML from basics to advanced levels, mastering the art of web development. You'll also be able to build awesome web pages from scratch. Get set for a hands-on journey that turns coding into a breeze.
In this video, we will cover phase 1, that is the discovery phase of our HTML adventure. In this foundational segment, we will lay the groundwork for our HTML journey.
Before we dive in, make sure you are subscribed to WhaTheCoding and also don't forget to press that bell icon so you are notified whenever I drop some coding wisdom.
Let's start with understanding what HTML is. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It uses standard markup tags for creating web pages. HTML provides structure and organization of content on the World Wide Web, allowing developers to define and describe elements on the web page.
Imagine web as the vast network of roads connecting information. HTML serves as the infrastructure, the very road system of the internet. It provides structure and layout much like how roads guide us through a city. HTML is like the main roads, ensuring proper organization and flow. It defines the basic structure of a web page, from headings to paragraphs, creating a roadmap for information display.
Now that we know what HTML is, let's move forward and create our first web page using HTML. To begin this exciting journey, we will need an IDE to write our HTML code. You have various options available for writing your HTML code. You can use different IDEs or even a simple text editor like Notepad for writing your HTML code. Some popular IDEs for web development are VS Code, Atom, Sublime Text, and Brackets. For these tutorials, we will be using VS Code, a versatile and widely used choice. Let's start by downloading and installing VS Code. Open any of your web browsers. I'm using Google Chrome. Search for Visual Studio Code. Visit website code.visualstudio.com right here and download the installer suitable for your operating system. I'm using Windows, so I'll download it for Windows operating system. If you are using Mac or Linux, you can choose accordingly. Once the download is complete, follow the installation instructions to set up your VS Code environment. Alright, now let's set our VS Code for our HTML adventure. Let's start by installing an extension on our VS Code.
In VS Code, extensions are like extra tools that make coding easier. For our HTML adventure, we are installing the Live Server extension, a handy tool to see our web page in action. In order to install Live Server extension, you will first need to open your VS Code. Then click on the extensions icon on the sidebar. Search for Live Server. Click Install to add this feature.
Finally, now that we have our VS Code environment all set up, let's jump right into writing our first HTML code. In the world of web development, the tradition is to begin with the simple Hello World program. So let's keep up with the tradition and write our first program saying the timeless words Hello World. Alright, now let's open our VS Code and create a new file by clicking on File, New File, or you can use shortcut Ctrl+N to create a new file in VS Code. Save it using name index.html. Remember, always use .html extension to save your HTML document. And also index.html file is by default set as the homepage for your website. So always name the file you want to set as your homepage for your website as index.html.
Alright, let's kick things off by typing the opening tag, followed by an exclamation mark. Now watch this magic. As soon as I hit enter, the first line of code, doctype HTML, is automatically typed for me by VS Code. This is a fantastic feature that saves us from manually typing it out. Now I'll quickly type the basic structure: HTML, head, meta elements, title, and closing tags. Thanks to VS Code, it fills in these essentials automatically. Next, I'll type body and h1 tag saying hello world. Feel free to follow along and let me know if you have any questions. Don't worry if you are not able to understand any of these or some of these at this moment. We'll break it down step by step. Just follow along and soon it will all make a perfect sense. Alright, now let's break down each line of this code to understand its significance. The first line, right here, the doc type HTML. This line declares the document type and version of HTML being used. Okay, moving on to the HTML. This tag marks the beginning of our HTML document. Everything inside it is a part of HTML structure. Moving on to our next tag, that is the head tag. Right here, this head tag represents the head section of our HTML. It typically contains meta information, links to style sheets, and other document level settings. Head tag also includes CSS, which we will explore in our upcoming modules. Inside the head tag, there is this title tag right here, where we define the title of our web page. This is what appears in the browser's title bar or tab. Now moving on to our body tag. Body tag is where the visible content of our web page resides. This is the container for the content of the HTML document. Everything that we want to display on our web page is written in this body tag only. And this h1 tag right here, displaying hello world, is an example tag representing heading element about which we will be learning in our upcoming modules. Remember, every tag in HTML has a closing tag, except for few. And what we just created, this basic structure of an HTML page, is the foundation of every HTML document. It's the essential framework we build upon. Let's remember open and close. That's the key to crafting well-structured HTML documents. Now let's visualize our digital landscape. Right-click on the HTML file and select Open with Live Server. If you don't have the Live Server extension installed, you can simply open the file in web browser. Finally, here is your first very own web page saying hello world.
Now that you have successfully created your first HTML page, let's delve deeper into HTML tags. HTML tags are the fundamental components that structure the content on a web page. They consist of opening tag, content, and a closing tag. They work in pair and define beginning and end of an element.
Say for example this line of code displayed on your screen. Here, this tag right here, the opening, is the opening tag, and the one with the slash symbol is the closing tag, encapsulating the paragraph content, which says this is a paragraph. There are many different tags in HTML, which we will be learning about in our upcoming modules. But for now, let's focus on the basics and move forward to explore the HTML comments. In HTML, comment serves as a way to annotate your code. They don't appear on the web page but provide valuable insights for developers reading the code. Comments are used by professionals to understand and document the code. Developers use comments in order to keep a record of documentation, as they explain the purpose, logic, or any considerations about a particular section of code. Comments also makes debugging easy as it provides insights into the developer's thought process or highlight potential areas of concern. Comments also makes code readable and understandable. The syntax to write comment in HTML is opening tag, exclamation mark, dash dash. Here you can write whatever you want to comment, again dash dash, and a closing tag. There are two types of comments in HTML: single line comments and multi-line comments. Single line comments are used for adding brief comments on a single line in your HTML code. They are written using same syntax as we have seen before. Multi-line comments, on the other hand, are used when you need to add comments that span multiple lines. They start with opening tag and exclamation mark, dash dash, and end with dash dash, closing tag. Everything between these symbols, even if it spans several lines, is treated as a comment. Let's open our index.html file and add some comments to it and see what happens. Let's add the comment at the beginning of our code. Comment says, "This is my first HTML project." Right click, open with live server. Your comment is not displayed here, right? Now I'm sure you got the idea about what comments are and how we can use them in our HTML documents. Now that we have mastered the art of comments, let's explore some basics everyone must know in order to advance web development skills. Starting with HTML elements and tags. Elements are the building blocks of a web page. Everything is built with elements and these elements are defined by tags. Tags enclose content and gives it meaning. For example, the paragraph tag. Moving on next to our document structure, HTML documents follow a specific structure. This basic structure includes the doctype HTML declaration, the HTML element, the head section for metadata, and the body section for the visible content. Understanding and following this structure is crucial for creating well formed HTML documents. And the best part about HTML is that it is not case sensitive. This means that the tags and attributes used in HTML can be written in uppercase, lowercase, or a mix of both, and the web browser will interpret them in the same way. See, for example, I am writing the HTML tag in uppercase and the head tag in lowercase. Now let's run this code. As you can see, there is no difference in the output or there is no error shown. This just means that you don't have to stress about whether you use uppercase or lowercase while typing HTML code. And that's it for our discovery phase. Closing our discovery phase with a recap, we have successfully navigated the basics of HTML. From crafting your initial Hello World web page to setting up the coding environment with VS Code, we have also dived into tags, comments, elements, and the essential HTML document structure. Plus, the important takeaway that HTML plays nice with case insensitivity.
We have laid a strong foundation, and I'm excited to see you dive into deeper HTML waters in our next phase, that is the progression phase. Remember, the journey continues and each phase adds a new layer to your web development skills.
Great work on mastering the basics, and I'm looking forward to the next installment. Till then, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell to stay in the loop.